Good evening and welcome to Sportszone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero, joined by Sean Hunley and Jack Shrupsha. And we have a pretty loaded show today. Lots of stuff going on, but we're going to start with the most significant news, and that's UNT Softball. An incredible upset of number 13 ranked Texas Tech in their home opener last night. It was an absolute incredible game. We're going to break it all down. Sean, just tell me about it. It was incredible.
I was really shocked at UNT's abilities to kind of come back. Especially after being down, 5 runs? Early on in the second inning. And really to go against one of the best pitchers, arguably in the nation as far as softball is concerned, Najari Kanadi, who put up 6 scoreless innings, has a 70 ERA and a 6-2 record, and 86 strikeouts on the season. Pretty impressive. For the most part, it was really that RBI double from the freshman Asha Moore that really got it started. They drew a couple of walks off the freshman relief pitcher Samantha Lincoln, but really it was that double, really, and kind of late, that just really propelled that victory. Just how often do you see a walk-off grand slam in the final inning to just kind of secure their 21st ranked win versus a ranked team? Really impressive for UNT, and I'm so happy for them. It's built a lot of confidence going into the weekend in their young season.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's Riley McNeamer, absolutely incredible walk-off grand slam. This is a game that they're down 5-0 in the 7th inning, and you come back and win 6-5. It's just something that you don't see very often at all. These are kind of supposed to be gimme games for these teams like Texas Tech, ranked 13 in the nation. They come in to Denton. UNT gives them not only a run for their money, but an incredible upset. That was on ESPN last night, so that shows that we've made it national. Jack, tell me about the game.
That has to be a huge momentum and confidence boost going forward for these girls. For UNT fans, hopefully not all of them left at that point, but for those who stayed for the last inning to see something like that, that's every baseball, softball player's dream to do something like that. So for them, home opener, make a statement. To beat a ranked team like that, I'm really excited to see if this is going to be able to propel them for games coming forward.
Yeah, certainly. And when you have a victory like this, I think, how does it not propel you? Not only is this game, huge, but this team is 13-2 on the season. Mm-hmm. This is a team that's been playing well all throughout, and now this is just barely their home opener. And now you do that against a team like Texas Tech. It's incredible. Sean, 13-2, how are you feeling about this team and their outlook for the rest of the season?
I really like the way they're playing. Especially, after their star pitcher, Skylar Savage, kind of got lit up early on in the second. You rely on on Annika Anderson. She pitched 4 2/3 innings worth of work, got a couple of strikeouts, held them to a 192 average, which is incredibly impressive, considering, their ranking as far as, nationals go. But, I think it's just their ability to kind of rely, if somebody's having an off game, you can rely on your star players like Sierra Simon, Skylar Savage as far as pitching goes, but they're so balanced as far as, veteran players and, young talented freshmen. I really just like the overall balance of this softball team, especially under Coach DeLong, who has got a pretty impressive record as far as coaching goes here at UNT. Clearly that win showed it.
Yeah, certainly. We talked a little bit about it last time we were talking softball and how the season, it was pretty solid last year, but not quite up to their standards, what they want to do. And I think this, against an opponent like Texas Tech, is absolutely what you want to do to start off the season at home. And now you're going into the Baylor Invitational. Games start tomorrow, Sam Houston and Baylor. Jack, what are you looking for UNT out of that series, and maybe, prove some more on the tournament in Baylor?
Yeah, I'm looking for, really just seeing what that momentum from the other night will do for them. And just like you mentioned, Annika Anderson being able to come in after a really tough start to the game with that second inning getting lit up. So hopefully more consistent pitching play, and I guess we'll just have to see how they are offensively. Hopefully they wake up a little earlier on. Don't have to save it till the end there, but I guess we'll just have to see. Definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to watch, and UNT Softball, just what they've done so early in the season, this is going to be an exciting team to watch throughout. This is a team that truly can compete. OSU's coming back here next week. Hey, they did it against Tech. Maybe they can get another one against Oklahoma State. But we're going to shift gears and talk some UNT basketball. Also doing pretty well. They've been struggling a little bit, some ups and downs. Now on a 4-game winning streak. Just picked up a huge win at South Florida last weekend. Now playing FAU tonight. Sean, tell me about the game tonight and what you want to see from UNT.
Yeah, a big thing I saw from that, USF game was they really struggled kind of in the second half to they couldn't get anything going in transition. FAU was doing so well to steal the ball, and they were really holding Musa Soko, to almost I mean, no points. I mean, he only had quite a, like less than 10 points compared to his like 20-point game versus in the previous game.
27, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just huge difference. I really like the way USF was able to battle back. But, the one thing I'm looking for in this game is to see your stars come out again. I think it was Brennan Lorient that had 17 points off the bench, if I'm not mistaken. Could be, 12. 12 points off the bench, and he had 17 overall. So I just want to see how their stars play. I expect this to be a really good offensive game for UNT, maintaining good pressure. They don't give up a lot of turnovers. They do well to kind of get some steals. So I think this should be a pretty good win for UNT, and hopefully against a FAU team that's having a down year this year.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Obviously, you were in Florida recently, trying to now get another one over at Florida Atlantic. So for UNT, they're in this situation where they're right up at the top. They've been kind of twirling around the 2-3 spot in the conference. Memphis obviously is kind of the overarching team that's sort of in our way. But Jack, if they can get this win, do you think that UNT at all has a chance against Memphis going into the conference tournament?
I think they do have a chance. I mean, every game from here on out is crucial. Exactly. Just what are they, like 2-3 games behind Memphis right now? So they got to treat every game like a must-win. And yes, FAU is kind of having a down year, but pretty solid overall home record at 7-4. So you don't want to take them lightly. Brendan Lorient was a guy who I had down as someone I want to see more from and to continue to contribute. But another guy, Jasper Floyd, had some big-time baskets in that second half against USF. I think his 18 points really led the way offensively for them. But what they got to do, like the turnovers that they had second half USF, that's what really was able to get USF, kind of chipping away at that lead.
Like a 19-point almost comeback win?
Yeah. So that's going to be big time for them. So I think that this is a very winnable game against FAU, but they can't take them lightly. Every game is a must-win.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think that's a really good way to put it, because this is a team that theoretically, like, you want to beat. This is the kind of teams that you have to beat if you want to show that you can truly be competitive. Like what you guys said about Brendan Lorient, he's a guy we've talked about quite a bit on this show, kind of finding his role, whether it's off the bench. No matter what, it just seems like he finds a way to make an impact. So, Sean, I'll ask you, anyone else that you're looking to make a big impact in this game and maybe throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Atten Wright, he also had 17 points, in that game against FAU and then the first one they played here at UNT. So I just expect their stars. It's really all going to be about their stars. Both of those guys really didn't have a big points game, as far as points go in that last game, and Moo as well. So I just want to see how those guys can kind of regroup, get back to work, and, hopefully maybe Floyd can have another good game. I mean, he had 4 threes in that game. That was a career high. So that's the good thing about this team is they're well balanced. If somebody's got an off game, you got guys that are there to pick up the slack and keep each other moving, and everybody's a game manager. They know how to function. They know how to play. They should go out there and win this game pretty good. I mean, pretty easily. Yeah,
definitely. I sure hope so. And guard play is something we talked a lot about last week, talking about guys like Jasper Floyd, like Atten Wright, finding that consistency, because we've seen Atten Wright at times be the star of this team. At times he's sort of overshadowed, kind of fallen back. I think he's still sort of trying to find his role. Obviously, this is a team of so many new players, and I think what they've been able to do so far is pretty impressive. But guys like Jasper Floyd, if they can be more consistent, the guard play, I think, is really going to make a big difference, especially when you're looking at a team like Memphis with P.J. Haggerty. Yeah. They have that talent. Jack, do you think the guard play for UNT can step up when needed most?
It can step up. I think we saw that against USF, those career-high threes, and Sean made a few great points there. Just this team is really balanced and disciplined. I feel like out of everybody who got minutes had points, contributed in some way, picking up the slack of those guys who, were missing some shots, making some mistakes, and then what was able to get USF back into that game. So I think the guard play can be amongst the top of the conference. I mean, Jasper Floyd's going to have to continue to piggyback off that performance he had against USF, keep letting it fly and just being physical, getting guys like Lorient into the paint, kick it back out. But yeah, that's why I think they are a good team and could be on Memphis's tail, if not overtake them by the end. So.
All right, so that's going to be interesting. Obviously, the guards, it's going to play a big role. But I think aside from that, we talked about Mulai Sissoko a lot last week. He had an incredible game. Not quite as good in the last time out, but if he can be at his best, I think that automatically raises the ceiling for this team. You need that big, and he is truly your one impact big. If he can do it, it's going to be big. I'll ask you, Sean, going into the tournament, once we get there, how do you think Mulai Sissoko can help maybe be that game breaker for UNT?
I mean, easily down low in the paint. That's where most of his points are going to come from. You just find Moo. If you can't get your three-pointer, you find Moo, you get it down low, and you score.
Yep.
That's going to be the biggest difference, in my opinion, for UNT.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be a team effort for UNT. Lots coming together. We'll see if they can come together in time for the conference tournament. But for now,
And you can almost be tricked into thinking that
it's getting started.
And you can almost be tricked into thinking that there's a happy ending here. I think that it's a true story of Ruth Snyder. There's some kind of liberties in the story. The young woman is definitely more of a sympathetic character than the original Ruth Snyder.
I would say that it is a story about a woman breaking out of the box she has been put in by society.
It is a story about societal pressures, and it's also a story about love and what drives somebody to sometimes do things that may seem awful.
I really like the soundscapes. I think that they add a nice layer to the show.
Be prepared for an incredibly immersive, anxiety-ridden experience.
How she sees the world and the way that she sees these different faces all the time. This is like how the machine rolls.
Welcome back to Sports Zone. I'm joined by Matthew McDowell and Omar Najim, and we're going to talk some spring training baseball. The Texas Rangers have gotten off to it was sort of a slow start. We talked about it a couple of days ago, only 1-4, but now they've won their last 2 games straight, including a big-time shutout just a few really hours ago. It wrapped up. So now 3-4, the Rangers, they've kind of had some ups and downs so far in spring training, but I'll ask you, Omar, how are you feeling about the Rangers so far this spring?
Feeling pretty good. I think that spring training is mainly just for the minor league guys to really get to show how they can play well. And so, honestly, it's like football basically.
Preseason,
you know,
yeah.
just to get the players back into the groove of playing and their routine and stuff like that. But for the Rangers so far, I think they've done pretty well. Like I said, the last 2 games they've won, so now they're 3-4. I feel like their pitching could be a little bit better, but their offense I feel like has been great.
Yeah, I agree, and I think especially with this past game is if you looked at the lineup, it was much more similar to what we're probably going to see on opening day, obviously minus guys like White Langford, Jonah Heim, but overall looking down, you had Simeon playing, you had Seager, Evan Carter, Garcia, Jock, a lot of these players that we will see on opening day. So I'll ask you, Matthew, what do you think about this performance specifically, and then the Rangers overall this spring?
I think I was good. I mean, they just beat the Mariners 8-0. Whenever you shut out a team, you're going to win. In the first 5 games, when they started 1-4, they were giving up 7.2 runs a game. So you're not going to win like that. And every one of those games, even the game that they won, they were out-hit by their opponents. So that's just not a recipe for success. I mean, going in these last 2 games, as you said, they've had a more lineup that looks like what we're going to see on opening day, which obviously helps them out versus just guys who are going to be playing for the Rough Riders and other teams later in the year. But I mean, it's preseason or it's spring training. There are 162 games in a season. I mean, it's a small sample size. There's not too much that you really want to overreact with and have a big reaction on. So, I mean, it's spring training.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good way to put it. I think there were some people a little concerned when they see that 1-4. It's like, wait, what's going on? But I think the way they've responded, and like we said, it's spring training. Mostly like you said, Omar, it's about the young guys, and that's exactly where I want to go next. Whether it's someone brand new out of the farm system, maybe someone they signed to a minor league contract, who has impressed you that you think could maybe have a chance to make this team?
Sebastian Walcott.
Oh,
he
yeah.
has had 6 at-bats, 1 home run, 2 doubles, and he's a batting average of 500%. That is really good. Now, that is very small. 6 at-bats and 1 home run and 2 doubles. I think that's pretty good. And he's only 18 years old, so he's got a bunch of time to even progress and be better. So I think he's my favorite right now.
Yeah, he's my favorite too. And I'm going to say, I don't care how small the sample size is. If you're batting 500, I'm pretty happy with that. And like you said, Sebastian Walcott, 18-year-old prospect, the #1 prospect right now in the Rangers organization. He's only made it up to the Rough Riders so far, but this is a guy, like we said, he's 18 years old. And I think for him to be doing this at this level, hitting against, there's major league pitchers, going up against him during these spring training games, not all of them, but he's really made an impact. And whether or not we see him on, we probably won't see him this opening day, but maybe across the season, who knows, someone like that getting a call up. Matthew, how are you feeling about Sebastian?
He's been great. I mean, when he's 18 years old and he's doing that, I mean, you cannot not be happy. He's batting 500 it was.
Yes,
I mean, 500 at 18
500.
years old. He's younger than me. Like, it's crazy. I'll like watch the Olympics. I'll watch sports like this and like, oh, this kid, is 17 years old. I'm like, wow, like, what am I doing? So, I mean, 18 years old, you got that kid in your prospect line. How can you not be happy? We probably won't see him on opening day, but like other teams in the Dallas area, like we've seen guys like Logan Stankoven who've made their way up into lineups and impact the lineup in playoff time, in the playoff push. We could easily see him come up and slot in the lineup with 30, 40 games left and possibly make an impact in the playoffs. So we'll see how he develops. I mean, he's 18 years old. There's no need to rush, but if he's ready, why not?
Yeah, certainly. I'm so excited for him. I know a few years ago when the Rangers were making all these trades, bringing in guys like Scherzer and Chapman, Walcott's one guy that I was like, please do not trade. Like, please keep him here. I was a little bit sad to see Luis Acuna head out, but I think Sebastian Walcott is even better. I mean, what he's been able to do, like we said, over and over again, 18 years old. Why'd you have to point it out that he's younger than us? Like, that's crazy to think about. I mean, it's just impressive, beyond impressive, really, what he's doing at this age. And it's going to be a guy that I think is really going to be our shortstop of the future. Corey Seager, I absolutely love him. I think eventually he'll probably shift more into that DH role as he continues to age. Obviously, he's a big guy. But so is Sebastian Walcott. He's 18 years old and he's already 6'4". So I feel like you have your built-in potential Seager replacement. I know that's a big-time name to compare him to, a World Series MVP, 2-time. But Sebastian Walcott, someone I'm really excited about. So Matthew, anyone else you're looking for out of the minors you think could maybe make an impact going forward?
Maybe not so much guys in the minors, but guys who have really made an impact this preseason have been really good. And even a guy who made impact last season is Josh Smith. I mean, nobody talks about him. Last season, they were talking about giving him awards, stuff like that. Obviously, didn't really make the cut. But, I mean, through the first few games, he's batting .375. He's got a batting average of .375. He's got a OPS of 106.9. I mean, he's just a guy that is a Swiss Army knife almost. You can plug him in, slot him in, and he'll do his job, and he's going to succeed at it. But another kind of veteran guy that I've been very impressed with is Dane Dunning. Through 4 innings, he's given up 0 earned runs. He's got 5 strikeouts and only allowed 1 hit. So maybe not guys in the minors, but old veterans that aren't star players, but you can count on. I've loved what they've done so far in the preseason.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I am a big Dane Dunning supporter. I mean, I know that he's had his ups and downs, but remember he was pitcher of the year for the Rangers, believe it or not, a couple years back. Last season, not quite his best, but I think he's someone that can be very reliable, whether it's a long reliever out of the bullpen, maybe a spot starter, because unfortunately there's going to be injuries. It's just part of the game. But yeah, I think that's a very good name right there. And then Josh Smith, he's a player that, for me, I'm determined to get him in the lineup this season.
I love that guy.
He can literally play every position outside of catcher and pitcher, I guess. But he's a guy that has come in. Yeah, people were saying he should be an all-star. Was it going to happen? Probably not. There's some bias there. He doesn't quite have that name yet. But Josh Smith is a guy that I'm very excited to continue to watch because you brought in some very good players. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But Josh Smith is someone that cannot be ignored, and I really like that you brought him up. Omar, of these new players, they've had some additions. We talked a bit about it last week. Of those players, is there anyone that's really stuck out to you you're hoping that can have a big-time impact for the Rangers this season?
For right now, Jock Peterson has struggled, but he did hit his first home run 3 games ago.
Yes, that was a pretty one.
I would be a little bit confident. Again, in spring training, players are always trying to get into their grooves, their routine, and plus it's his new team for the Rangers. So he's only batting .143 at the moment, but I would give it some time.
Yes, and I think that's really a good way to put it. Give him some time because when you're in a new system, there's going to be some growing pains. That's just a part of it. But Jock is a guy that I think is going to be very important for this team. You signed him to be that, whether he's I'd say 5-hole hitter for me. You know, I've seen different projections, but you need his power, you need his pop at that DH position. We'll definitely see how he can do going forward. Matthew, anyone else of the new additions you really like to see either more of or, you know, think could make a big impact this season?
Well, I was honestly figuring Josh Smith as well. I mean, granted, as Omar said, he hasn't done good, but last season he batted .275 with 23 home runs and 64 RBIs. I mean, they talked about not getting enough runs on the board last season. If you want someone to be able to do that, that's the guy you want. I mean, pitching-wise, we added a lot of depth. Guys like Jacob Webb and Moore will be good, so we're not burning our pitchers out of the lineup and getting Tommy John and all that.
Yes.
But, I mean, they added a lot of depth. They didn't add some, like, Shohei Ohtani signing or anything like that. But I think all the guys complement the team really well, and it'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that Dodger money, I guess. But I think they made some sneaky good additions. The bullpen is something that I'm going to be very curious about because they've really kind of, you know, completely redone it in a way. And I'm disappointed we lost Kirby Yates, but it's going to be interesting to see how this team can all come together because I think, especially these last couple games, we've seen that promise. And I'm excited to see what they can do the rest of spring training and going into opening day. But for now, we're going to switch back to basketball and talk around the NCAA.
Craving something fresh, flavorful, and made just for you? Look no further than Avesta, your go-to destination for delicious, full-service dining experience. Dive into our customizable omelets, expertly crafted by our talented cook Jonathan, who guarantees every bite is perfection. All our dishes are handmade, prepared with only the freshest ingredients. Explore our assembly line where you can choose from any of our globally inspired dishes, or customize your plate. It's that easy. And let's not forget dessert. Indulge your sweet tooth with treats from Clark Bakery. With convenient payment methods including card or flex, it's the perfect dining spot for any occasion. Quench your thirst with our wide selection of drinks. Just hand your drinking card to our friendly waiter, and they'll bring your beverage of choice right to your table. When you're done savoring every last bite, our attentive staff will whisk away your tray. Enjoy the peaceful ambiance as you dine in, or use our takeout option for a meal on the go. Avesta.
Has this ever happened to you?
My bike! My bike is gone!
Stolen bikes are an epidemic sweeping college campuses across America.
What am I supposed to do?
It's quite simple. The We Mean Green Fund has partnered with the UNT Police Department to offer free bike locks to any UNT student with a bike. Just show up with your bike in tow and ask.
Now I'll never lose my bike ever again.
Enough worrying. Get your bike lock today.
Welcome back to Sportszone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero, joined by Josh Ortega and Kenzie Neely, and we're going to run it back to basketball and talk all around the NCAA because this Saturday we're in for some big-time matchups. Yeah. You know, we're getting closer and closer to March, just a couple days away, and now it's go time. You know, for all of these teams, there's no more time for error, and it's going to be really exciting to see as we continue to push towards the NCAA tournament. So first, I want to talk number 12 Texas A&M visiting number 3 Florida in a big-time SEC brawl. This is going to be an exciting game, and I'll start with you, Josh. What are you looking to see from this matchup?
Honestly, it's a pretty good game. It might be the biggest game in the SEC, and we've got plenty of games that are kind of going forward in terms of that. But overall, I think that for Florida, obviously they slipped against Georgia, losing late, and either way, this is a big game because now Texas A&M and Mizzou are very much on their tails for that 3rd seed. So really, they're going to have to shoot on the outside perimeter. They're going to have to really not go towards the paint because Texas A&M loves to play and defend the paint. And overall, Florida needs this win to continue their hot streak.
Absolutely, and it's going to be important, especially Florida. Like you said, they've had a few little slips. Yeah. It's going to be key to see if they can kind of keep that top spot because the SEC is, I think, perhaps the most stacked basketball conference we've seen in a long time. I mean, just literally every single team. I mean, you look at last place and it's like, oh, they have a winning record still. Yeah. And it's just absolutely incredible. Kenzie, what are you looking to see from this game?
I mean, the biggest thing is just the Aggies. Right now they're 20-7 on the season and then 9-5 just in SEC. And so just seeing that alone is a big statistic to be able to look at whenever you're looking at these basketball games. But the biggest thing that I really want to put my focus on is that Florida beat A&M this time last year. Whenever we're coming to the semifinals, they were able to beat them. And so I do have hope that that Florida is going to be able to come back and make a big difference and be able to do something different than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to put it because A&M is a team that they've been really pretty solid this season, but like we've said, in such a stacked conference, it's kind of tough. But a big-time win like this, especially late, like you said, we saw it last year.
Yep.
We'll see if they can get it again. It's going to be key. Josh, for Texas A&M, is there any player in particular you think needs to have that big-time game in order to get this win?
I mean, there's so many of them that had big-time games before this season, and honestly, in terms of Buzz Williams' side, I really think that Wade Taylor had a really nice night last night. He had 30 the last time that they played Florida, so I say why not? Let's get Wade Taylor in there.
Yeah, I like it a lot, but we have so many more games to get to. We got to keep moving on. So I want to stay with the SEC, though. Number 1 ranked Auburn against number 17 Kentucky. Kentucky's a team I feel like that is sort of, they're always there, but they always just find a way to slip up when it matters most. And we saw it especially in the tournament last season. Now, against the number 1 team in Auburn, Kenzie, how are you feeling about this game? And do you think Kentucky has a chance, or Auburn takes this one pretty easily?
I mean, I really do feel that Auburn's going to be able to take it easily. Kentucky does have a tendency to slip up. They used to be an amazing team,
Absolutely.
like
Blue
one of
blood.
the best that everybody would always go to whenever they wanted to talk about a team, the best basketball team. If you were going to be a D1 player, you wanted to play at Kentucky.
Yes.
But it's not like that anymore. D1 has changed completely, and Kentucky isn't that top contender anymore. That's not the place that you want to go to anymore. And Auburn being number 1 now, it has shown a lot.
You say Kentucky, and I'm automatically thinking, Anthony Davis,
Yes.
Devin Booker. I mean, the list goes on of how much talent they've had over the years. But like you said, it just feels like recently, not that they don't have the talent, but they just haven't been able to put it together as a team. And I'm not sure.
They haven't been able to finish.
Yes, and that's a good point right there. Do you think that this is more on recruiting or coaching? What do you think it is that's causing Kentucky to keep slipping?
I guess it's a mixture of both. I mean, I'm not saying their coaches are bad. Their coaches have been notoriously pretty good. I mean, everyone knows Kentucky for having some of the best coaching whenever it comes to collegiate basketball. And so I'm not going to say their coaching is bad. Maybe their recruiting is. I just don't think that there's a full relationship on the court right now. I don't think that they're able to have an amazing relationship between every single player that's going to be on the court. And so I don't think they have multiple great guards. I don't think they have an amazing center. That's the biggest thing I want to talk about is they don't have an amazing center. And I feel like the team morale isn't there.
Yeah, and I think the team chemistry, like you said, has just been, for the last few years, just not quite there. And I think that lack of a big man presence is going to be really important, especially in this game. Josh, you think Auburn's going to be able to really exploit that matchup and get a big-time win here?
Yeah, I mean, Auburn's the number 1 team in the country for a reason. They've been phenomenal all year, and ultimately I think that going forward, if you're the number 1 guy playing against a Kentucky team that tends to slip now, I'm going Auburn on this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree. Auburn is a team that they've looked solid, very solid this year, obviously, when you're the number 1 team. Am I fully sold on them? I don't know.
Yeah.
I still have questions. I think this is such a competitive field all the way around, but for this game, it's going to be interesting to watch. But I do think that Kentucky, well, they might put up a fight maybe in the first half. I think Auburn does end up pulling away. So
For sure.
I want to move on, and where else to go but the SEC? I mean, I guess we're just stuck here. Number 6, Alabama. Number 5, Tennessee. And this is perhaps the closest matchup in terms of rankings so far for this Saturday. It's going to be a good one. I think this time we have 2 teams that are both kind of fighting for that top spot, just a little bit behind. Kenzie, who do you think comes out on top on this one?
It's a really hard thing to guess. I'm not going to lie. I've been thinking about it all day. I've been trying to figure out, who do I really feel like is going to be on top? But there's some pit in my stomach that's really making me say that's going to be Tennessee. I just have to go with the Vols. I don't know what it is. Alabama, it might be just because I'm a big college football fan too, and I might be sick of Alabama a little bit. Yeah. And so I might just be wanting to see the Tennessee Vols win. And I think that's really what the biggest thing is. I mean, it's not only that, but Tennessee is also 23-5 this season. It's not like they're doing bad. They're actually doing amazing this season. So I really want to see them come out on top this game.
Okay, Josh, how are you feeling about this matchup?
I'm going with Alabama. I think, honestly, they shot 45 attempts from 3-point range in their last win. And look, Tennessee has a great defensive team. They're a great offensive team. But Alabama shoots the ball. And if Tennessee gets in a shootout with them, Alabama's going to take the kick. So I'm going Alabama on this one.
Yeah, Josh, I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm sorry, Kenzie, but I think... And I'm sorry, Mackenzie, also. We'll double up the Kenzies. But I think that Alabama, like you said, it's the 3-point shooting. And that just, in today's era, I just think that just makes all the difference. It's going to be interesting, though, because all it takes is one off game. And it's like, okay, tables can turn a little bit. So I do want to hear
the percentages with 3 points. It can really determine whether you win or lose that game. You can chuck as many threes as you want, but are your threes going to make it? That's the question.
And I remember.
Do you want to be Anthony Davis?
Oh.
Do you want to be Anthony Edwards too? He's the new Anthony Davis.
Oh.
And speaking on that, I just want to mention Kentucky was known for being pretty good at three-point shooting last year. And then all of a sudden that all went out the window. So I don't know if I'm helping my argument or not, but it's going to be interesting. So I'll ask you, Kenzie, you're going Tennessee. What player on Tennessee do you think is going to make that impact? Or do you think it's maybe a team effort that just gets through the Crimson Tide?
I mean, I don't have a specific player that really comes to mind whenever I'm thinking about Tennessee in general. I'm mostly just thinking of like their team effort that I've seen just this season alone. Whenever I went back and watched the games and watched the replays and being able to see like what was happening on the bench and on the court, I see that there is some kind of chemistry there, which is what you want to see whenever you're watching these games, these college, big, important games. These are going to determine whether they're going to go to the NBA or not. And so, like, these are the moments that you want to see, and I can tell that in this Tennessee team, these people really want it. Like, they want to be there. And so that's why I really think that they're going to be able to get that advantage over Alabama, because there's just a little bit of a difference from them being, like, #1 seed to not being #1 seed.
All right, clip it. I'm very curious. I'm going to be watching this game closely. So one more. Let's get away from the SEC just for a minute because, I mean, that's a little too much for me. But number 22, Arizona. Number 9, Iowa State. Give the Big 12 some love. This one, not the closest in terms of rankings, but I don't know. Arizona, we'll see. Maybe they can make something happen. Josh, how are you feeling about this matchup? And do you think there's any chance for an upset, or do you think Iowa State takes it?
It's tough because Arizona beat this team earlier in the season,
Exactly.
and Iowa State now has a chance to kind of get back at them here. But both teams have been sporadic. Arizona's coming off a nice win, and overall, look, I mean, they lost the last two, but either way, I'm going to take Arizona. I like the way they're playing. They're playing good basketball. And if you beat someone early in the season, I know it's probably like, oh, you won't beat them again later, but come on now.
Yeah, I kind of like it. There's definitely going to be both teams have a stake in this one. It's going to be, can they keep it going, or do they get them back? We'll just have to see. But for now, we're going to stick with basketball and go to the pros and talk some Dallas Mavericks.
Onto the depths of NTTV studios. Something special is brewing just for you.
Hey ghouls and goblins, NTTV News is having a special Halloween segment this October 31st. We're also covering 31 days of Halloween in Denton. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be spooktacular.
Looking to open a free checking or savings account but don't know where to start? Check out DebtQ Credit Union right here on campus. Get your Mean Green debit card instantly or apply for a DebtQ Visa credit card today. Your school, your card. Plus, make deposits at their 24/7 ATM, checks or cash whenever you need it. Make sure to sign up for DebtQ's online banking platform and mobile app for easy access anytime, anywhere. Visit them at www.debtq.org to learn more. DebtQ, the official financial institution of UNT Athletics.
Join NTTV November 5th for the biggest night in American politics, with on-the-field reporting from the Capitol to campus, coverage from our social media audiences, opinions from a panel of experts, and an in-depth look at our state's most pressing issues.
The presidential seat and the seat for Texas Senator are both on the ballot, and we will keep you up to date on those voting numbers. Watch our Your Choice 2024 election show live from 6 to 8 p.m. on Frontier 46, Charter 192, or at NorthTexasTelevision.com.
Here to keep you covered and informed, we're North Texas Television.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and is hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Craving something fresh, flavorful, and made just for you? Look no further than Avesta, your go-to destination for delicious, full-service dining experience. Dive into our customizable omelets, expertly crafted by our talented cook Jonathan, who guarantees every bite is perfection. All our dishes are handmade, prepared with only the freshest ingredients. Explore our assembly line where you can choose from any of our globally inspired dishes or customize your plate. It's that easy. And let's not forget dessert. Indulge your sweet tooth with treats from Clark Bakery. With convenient payment methods including card or flex, it's the perfect dining spot for any occasion. Quench your thirst with our wide selection of drinks. Just hand your drinking card to our friendly waiter, and they'll bring your beverage of choice right to your table. When you're done savoring every last bite, our attentive staff will whisk away your tray. Enjoy the peaceful ambiance as you dine in, or use our takeout option for a meal on the go. Avesta.
Has this ever happened to you?
My bike! My bike is gone!
Stolen bikes are an epidemic sweeping college campuses across America.
What am I supposed to do?
It's quite simple. The We Mean Green Fund has partnered with the UNT Police Department to offer free bike locks to any UNT student with a bike. Just show up with your bike in tow and ask.
Now I'll never lose my bike ever again.
Enough worrying. Get your bike lock today.
Oh, okay. It's been a chaotic show, guys. Every once in a while we have one of these. Back to Sportszone. I apologize for that. We had some technical difficulties going on, but we are back. I'm joined by Ian Sparkman and Rohan Srinivasan, and we're going to talk some Dallas Mavericks and some Luka Doncic. Obviously, the long-awaited, not reunition here, but going against him, Luka Doncic on the other team, and it's just something that I wish we never saw, but we saw it. The Lakers get the best of us, 107-99 in Crypto.com Arena. And this is something that we could say is way more than just a game. You know, Luka Doncic up against his old team had a triple-double. He looked dialed in, and I think there was something personal about this one, and he put it all out there. Ian, Luka Doncic against the Mavs, how'd you feel about this game?
I mean, Luka played pretty well. Kyrie played well as well. I mean, I feel like that has to be mentioned. He scored 14 out of the first 20 points the Mavericks put on the board in the first quarter. He was playing really well, scored 35, had 35 by the end of the game. But obviously Luka played very well as well, triple-double. Kind of a classic Luka game. He wasn't scoring at a very high clip. He wasn't shooting very well, but just triple-double, absolutely crashing the boards. I mean, it was vintage Luka right against the old team.
Yeah, absolutely. And Luka Doncic, he didn't have that 40-piece that, you know, some people were expecting from him, but he did what he does best, and he gets triple-doubles. Like, I mean, without a better word, but I think he has shown that, I don't know if he's quite accepted, you know, he's moved on or anything yet, but I think this was his time to really say, hey, Nico, hey, Mavs, look, I'm here. And, you know, if you guys want to trade me, here's the result you're going to get. And I think that this was personal for Luka. So, Rohan, how do you feel about Luka's performance, and how do you think the Mavs are feeling right about now?
I thought it was a great performance. He wasn't shooting the ball particularly well. Dropped 19, 15, and 12, though. 81st career triple-double. And he just got to keep proving them wrong, to be honest with you. You saw it early in the game, right? Hit a deep three, staring down the Mavs bench.
Yes.
After that, it kind of was just back and forth. And the only lead that Dallas took was 14-13 with about 6 minutes in the first. Kyrie hit a three. After that, just playing back and forth. And it's basically how the Lakers have Luka and the Mavs don't.
Yeah, and certainly the Mavs were very, injured, as we've talked about a lot. Anthony Davis obviously out, Gafford, Lively, the list goes on. But, you know, here we are. I like what you said about Kyrie Irving, though. Vintage Kyrie Irving looked like a rookie again, shaved his beard, but 35 points. He really played well, and I just am very curious to see when this team is healthy, when Kyrie has the full squad back again. Ian, do you think the Mavs can be competitive?
I think they absolutely can. They just don't have any bigs right now, right?
Yes, exactly. Kessler Edwards is your center.
Yeah, so I mean,
all
even
6'8" of him.
You know, Dwight Powell is sort of healthy now, but it's still not really, Dwight Powell is Dwight Powell. So
He's a baller.
You know, but I mean, I think they can be. It's just about getting healthy, and that's what we're going to be talking about really for the next 2 weeks until we can get more confirmation on Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
But once they're healthy, they'll be there. It's just going to be about surviving these next 2 weeks.
Right. Like you said, 2 weeks reevaluating 3 centers now. Or a power forward if you say 2 centers. But how I look at it is I don't see Dallas really thriving in the playoffs. Might make the playoffs, but you're not going anywhere of relevance in the playoffs. You can book it. But another West team that I would like to point out, which is at the bottom, which could make an upset, Steven, is the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
Adding Jimmy Butler, paired with the greatest shooter of all time, Steph goes out for 4 games, you never know.
You never know, and Jimmy Butler can be that guy. And I think that with all this drama with the Heat, I think some people forgot who Jimmy Butler was.
Right.
You know, and I think that's the best way I can put it. Remember, this guy has led teams to the finals. As an 8 seed, when he is at his best, he's different. I mean, remember Jimmy Butler in the bubble? I mean, just laid out, laid over, but he made it happen. And he doesn't even have to be the number 1 anymore. He has Curry. I don't know if it happens this year. I think that this might be kind of a more project team in terms of continuing to reload while they kind of maximize the tail end of Curry and Jimmy Butler's primes. But hey, we'll have to see. But another team, you know, I guess we got to talk about it. It's the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I think everyone was saying they won this trade in the long term, and I think that's very fair. Obviously, Luka Doncic is 25 years old. They're going to be competitive for the next decade plus and probably even beyond that. But the Lakers right now, I think, have done a lot better than people were expecting. It was like, okay, they don't have a center. They're not going to make any noise this year. Rohan, do you think that just maybe they will make some noise this year?
Absolutely. I can tell you have that face, which is like, I know we're going to the finals, man. If the Lakers, like I said, if they can hit 13 to 14 threes per game, they're going to the finals. I have no doubt about it. You mentioned it right there. New coach in J.J. Redick, a proven Lakers team who has done better than, their expectations. But I really think that with LeBron, with Luka, you added the Don. I believe that they're going to do way better than the Mavs, not only in the coming years, but this year as well. Like, we kept talking about the Mavs, like, win now, win now. Well, you got to be healthy, bro, to actually stay on the court and produce. Right now, Luka is healthy, and as long as he stays that way, Lakers will be better than the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, and that's something interesting. Obviously, all this defense wins championships, and I think it's been a common consensus, at least from the experts per se, that the Mavs, going later on, maybe not, but they won the trade now. I've heard that all throughout. The Mavs won the trade right now, and I just don't buy it. Ian, do you think the Mavs won the trade right now, or do you think they're just kind of coping a little?
No, because Luka Doncic is still Luka Doncic. Like, it's not like he's not bad.
And he's not on your team.
Yeah, they're talking like he's a developing player. He's already a superstar.
Yes.
Like there's not much of a debate to be had there. I will say Max Christie was a good get, and I think he kind of showcased that a little bit in this last game, right? He shoots very well. But Luka is Luka,
Yes.
and the Lakers are going to be good with Luka now. And he and LeBron are only going to get better together, right, as they learn how to play together. And, I mean, I think they're going to be absolutely dangerous in the playoffs.
Thanks, Nico.
Yeah, and that's what the Lakers fans were chanting. Thank you, Nico. And we heard it. He was in attendance there, had some very interesting pictures.
Luka was at the free throw line.
And he got his thank you from Lakers fans and Mavs fans. Yeah, I think I don't know about that. But beyond, like we said, there's so many hypotheticals. The Mavs, it's like if they get healthy and at full strength, can they compete? Maybe. But I don't know. I just think it's such a what if if we're healthy. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't know. And I'll ask you just real quick, Ian, for the Mavs, for the Lakers, who do you think this year goes further in the playoffs?
The Lakers.
Yep.
Pretty easy for me.
Pretty unfortunate, but I think that's the truth. Rohan?
Top 5D in the Mavs. Doesn't matter. Lakers are better.
All right. And I just think that's the unfortunate reality right now. Luka Doncic is no longer a Maverick, and that's just something we have to live with now. So we're going to move on from
And you can almost be
talk about our final segment.
And you can almost be tricked into thinking that there's a happy ending here. I think that's so powerful. It's a true story of Ruth Snyder. There's some kind of liberties in the story. The young woman is definitely more of a sympathetic character than the original Ruth Snyder.
I would say that it is a story about a woman breaking out of the box she has been put in by society.
It is a story about societal pressures, and it's also a story about love and what drives somebody to sometimes do things that may seem awful.
I really like the soundscapes. I think that they add a nice layer to the show.
Be prepared for an incredibly immersive, anxiety-ridden experience.
How she sees the world and the way that she sees these different faces all the time, this is like how the machine rolls.
Back to Sportszone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero, joined by London Stewart and John Phillips, and we have something sort of fun planned for this last block. We're going to talk some nostalgia, some sports video games from throughout childhood and recent years. I don't know, for me, sports video games are something that have shaped me, throughout my life and has been a big part in why I'm here right now. It's something that, you love watching the games, but it's almost like you're in it in a way. You're playing them. It made me fall in love and learn more about the games, honestly, since I was a little kid. And I'm really excited to talk about this. So, John, I'll let you go first. Let me know your top 3 favorite sports video games.
I have to start. My number 3 video game of all time is NFL Head Coach 09. It's an underrated pick. Everyone goes with the Maddens, But I've always been a realism type of guy, someone who, does long-term saves. And NFL Head Coach 09, you can make the play. They have fan opinions in it. It's just so realistic, and from the beginning, I've always loved that realism. My number 2 game is very different. It's NBA 2K16, the best 2K of all time, in my opinion.
They had a good playlist, too.
They had a great playlist.
And I want to talk about playlists, too. We'll get to that.
But Spike Lee directing your My Career, I mean, that's nuts to have Spike Lee in it. FOF, Vic Van Leer. That's just the lead. I've loved that game forever. I still play it.
And the best intro of all time, I must say. I mean, that just brings me back.
The evil basketball players, don't even get me started.
Jordan blinding him with the rings, oh man.
And then my number 1 is Football Manager 2024. It's a soccer game, and you don't even play the games in it. It's kind of like a spreadsheet simulator, people call it. It's all about, it's super in-depth with the statistics. There's 200,000 players in it.
Dang.
And for me, it fills my need for the deepness of that type of sports game and just gives me everything I want in a sports game.
Yeah, watch out for John Phillips. We might be seeing the next head coach or something.
Unique fool.
He's been working since he was a kid. So, yeah, I like those picks. That's something, a little bit different, and I think that's big for me, too, because I'm so all about the realism of it. I was a guy that I would make all my own rosters. I'd customize everything to the equipment that week. I mean, that was just who I was. I loved it. So, London, take us away. Let's hear your top 3.
Top 3, starting at 3. This was a dilemma right here. I got Madden 13. Madden 13,
okay.
Yes. Calvin Johnson on there was so nostalgic, that game right there. I used to be a Saints fan at this time. So using the Saints on there, bro, was amazing. Number 2, Madden NFL 20.
20, okay.
20.
More recent.
Eric Dickerson halfback stretch.
Yes, I remember the halfback stretch.
I played a YouTuber named TD Presents. Let's just say, I can tell why he was in legend, right? Halfback shirts. I was running halfback shirts the whole game.
Yeah, I remember that Madden.
He's a 99 overall. He can run and he can truck.
Just saying halfback stretch brought me back. I'm not going to lie.
Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback. But my number 1, and I used to be a My Park player, NBA 2K20.
20, okay.
20 was a good year.
A glass cleaning lockdown. 7-1 big that can shoot threes. Right there, I'm in the park all day. I was in COVID during this time. I was in the 8th grade at this time. I used to be on the Zoom calls laying down playing 2K, screaming on the headset, getting it in. So those are my top 3 right there. In NBA Jam, Barack Obama out there slam dunking with the bobblehead.
Bill Clinton.
That was such a crazy game. But that's me right there. What about you, Steve?
Okay, I'll get into it in just a minute. I want to talk about yours just a little bit. NBA 2K20, I think that's the last 2K that I really got into, especially on my career. I'll still play every now and then when I have time. But, yeah, that My Career, I think, was one of the last, good ones before it kind of, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about all the new stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot. And I want to mention Madden 13 because I played that so much as a kid. I mean, literally, that Madden took me through I don't know how many years. Like, I had a lot of fun. So let's get into it. I got to get to mine. Number 3 is Madden 11. This one, Drew Brees on the cover, Crazy Train on the soundtrack, man. That one just brings me back. That's actually really the first Madden I played. I played it on the Wii, believe it or not. Yes.
You were locked in.
Yeah, right? Like, the pointing on it, I mean, that was insane. But that one just brings me back. It's what got me into Madden in the first place, and I've owned just about every single one since then. So I gotta give a nod to the OG for me. Number 2, NBA 2K18. Kyrie on the cover.
Don't even like that.
Yeah, that's
I know, and it's kind of a hot take. That one, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily about everything was perfect for that game. I think it was just, I got into that one a lot. That was, actually, I think I got a new console, everything. So that one, I played the heck out of it. I made my own custom teams. I remember I did a whole all-time team tournament. I think that was one of the first years where they had added that. So for me, I just had a lot of fun with it. And it wasn't perfect from a gameplay style, everything like that, but I don't know. I had a lot of fun. And number 1, this one will forever hold a special place in my heart. NCAA football, not 14, but 13 for me. RG3 on the cover. I have loved playing college football 25. I will say, I'm so glad it's back, but man, there's just nothing like the originals.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yes,
the
Road to
Heisman
Glory.
Challenge.
Starting from high school.
Their names are the numbers.
Dude. And me, like, I downloaded rosters with names, and, you know, I still played this, like, to this day. Like, I'll play, what I do is I have kind of, like, all-time teams from those colleges. I'll still play it because the vibes that game gives me, it just reminds me of Saturday mornings as a kid, ready to watch college football. I mean, it's like no other. It's not perfect, no, but it's everything it needed to be, and it's still just, it's my favorite.
Even the lagging was nostalgic.
I know, right?
The lagging made it fun. The slow loading,
glitching,
the freezing,
part of
loading
it.
screen.
Yeah, it was special. And my one more bonus game I'm going to throw in there, Wii Sports Resort. That was my game. Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort, they go hand in hand. Resort was from 2009. Man, that game is what got me into sports in the first place. You know, it wasn't the realism. It was just playing on the Wii, doing your thing, and man, I don't know, that will always hold a special place in my heart, and it was so much fun, and I hope you guys had fun with us in this show. Can't believe it's already over, it just flew right by, but thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to follow us on NTTV_sports to stay up to date, and stay tuned for NTTV Nightly News.